Cleaning up in the wake of devastation. A recovery effort from Salina to Dayton caught in the path of those powerful tornadoes.
That story and an update coming up. But first, the Mega Millions Jackpot getting close to $400 million. The live drawing starts right now. Good luck.
That was one of the most frightening things I've ever went through.
And now the road to recovery begins in tornado-decimated Dayton and Salina. It'll be a long recovery.
Day after a deadly crash on the Ohio Turnpike, questions over whether a barrier may have saved lives.
And striking nurses taking their message to a different place.
This is 13 ABC Action News with Diane Larson and Lee Conklin.
Storms, powerful storms, ripping through a number of Ohio communities. The governor declaring a state of emergency in 3 counties today: Greene, Mercer, and Montgomery.
In Salina, an EF3 tornado turned deadly. Officials say a man there died after a parked car was blown into his home. We have more coverage coming up, but first we want to get a look at more rain. We're looking at more rain for us, possibly more storms heading our way, and we begin 13 minutes of nonstop news with meteorologist Dan Smith. Dan.
Yeah, those tornadoes missed us barely to the south and to the west. We have more storms develop this afternoon, and with this kind of heat, it's not really hard to see why. It edged a little bit closer to Toledo than it had been. We had quite the drop-off. We're in the 60s right now, but low to mid-80s. A lot of heat for those storms to draw from. Now, as it stands right now, we don't really have a whole lot going on. That had moved off over the last several hours. It caused quite a bit of thunderclaps. We did have 3 severe thunderstorm warnings in the southern part of the viewing area. Hancock County went under one, Allen as well, Paulding even earlier than that. Notice that development out there, though, in the corner of Indiana between Angola and Fort Wayne. That's a harbinger of things to come. You have all that development still to contend with out towards Illinois. We still have this coming in and likely affecting our northern sections, including, yes, us here in Toledo. We're expecting that to round up through the overnight hours. Not as severe, but still another soaking, and about the last thing we might need here in the Glass City. We'll have details, an hour-by-hour look at Predictor, where we've been and where we're going, coming up later.
You heard the roar as it went across, and after the roar, you just heard this humongous bang.
Absolute devastation in Salina. Locals here describing the moments leading up to the storm that has now changed their lives. Some of the homes there reduced to rubble, personal belongings tossed everywhere. Residents, though, not letting the emotional loss keep them from getting to work. Many spending the day gathering what they could find and cleaning up what they could. One homeowner telling us when the storm blew past, materialistic things simply didn't matter. It was all about the well-being of neighbors and friends.
Once you get outside and you see the devastation and it's dark, which makes it worse, and I said, and then you start worrying, how are the neighbors? So I have to say everybody was great, because it was more of the safety people coming in and the police and everybody running through the neighborhood, making sure everybody had gotten out and everybody was okay.
And as we mentioned, one man, an 81-year-old man, died during that twister.
Local volunteers made it their mission to go help those hardest hit by the storms. Many of them had been watching the weather closely and were prepared for the worst. 6 volunteers from our area went to Salina to help with relief efforts, from shelter to disaster assessment. One volunteer shared with us tonight that he's heartbroken for the community.
I was just down here 2 days ago. We came down for the holiday weekend. We were relaxing on the lake and having fun with a lot of the folks in the area here. Really looking forward to coming back, and unfortunately to be back here this soon and under these circumstances is not what we wanted to do.
And more volunteers are set to head out. If you would like to help with relief efforts, you can make a monetary donation to the Red Cross. You can find that link on our website, 13abc.com. Now, in the Dayton area, 2 confirmed tornadoes touched down. The storms caused significant damage, but no deaths reported.
Tens of thousands of people still without power tonight. Officials sharing that crews are coming in from out of state to try and help get the lights back on. Residents there also doing the best they can to pick up the pieces. It's a snowplow clearing debris there. Governor DeWine visiting some of the ravaged areas and had this message.
I want to express to everyone who's no longer has a home, who's lost their property, who's lost, all their possessions, pictures and other things, that our heart goes out to them. Our heart goes out to you, and we're just, very, very sorry that this has happened.
And And Ohio wasn't the only state seeing wicked twisters. We're getting a look at video coming in from all over the U.S. More than 50 tornadoes have been reported in 8 states in just the last 24 hours. Those storms now heading east.
And remember to stay ahead of any developing storms. Download our 13 ABC News app. It's free. We'll send you push alerts when it's time to take cover. Bedford community relieved that students were able to walk away after a bus crash this afternoon. Bedford officials sharing with us the bus was nearly full of students from both the junior and senior highs, but not everyone was able to walk away safely from the accident scene. The driver of the other vehicle involved in the crash was taken to the hospital for medical treatment. And the bus driver was also hurt. School officials releasing a statement saying that that person was treated for a shoulder injury. Well, a deadly crash, just a horrific accident on the Ohio Turnpike, is sparking questions about the use of barrier walls.
3 people were killed yesterday when a semi crossed the median of the turnpike. This was in Fulton County. 13 ABC's Mackenzie Keyline explains why some areas of the turnpike don't have those concrete barrier walls. Mackenzie.
Well, Lee and Diane, that stretch of the turnpike in Fulton County does not have any barrier walls. Now that has drivers wondering why there aren't any there and if having one could have helped save a life. What many drivers thought was just Memorial Day traffic.
We're traveling about 70 miles an hour, and then all of a sudden we just came to a slow crawl.
Was because of this, a deadly accident on the turnpike Heather Madden and her family saw on their way home to Avon from Southwest Michigan.
It looked awful. It's probably the worst accident I've ever seen.
The Ohio State Highway Patrol says the driver of a semi crossed the median on the turnpike in Fulton County, hitting 3 vehicles. The semi driver, along with 2 other people, killed.
As a mom with, children in the car, and I mean, it could have been anybody.
It was difficult to tell where one vehicle ended and where the other one began.
Sergeant Ivan Nunez was one of the first to arrive on scene. He says so far this year, 11 crashes happened near this area of the turnpike, an area without any of these concrete barriers. And that concrete barrier wall ends here in Maumee at mile marker 59. The Turnpike Commission says any stretch with less than 54 feet of a median will see a concrete barrier. The Ohio Turnpike Commission says there are 160 miles of concrete barrier walls on 3-lane sections, leaving 80 miles of the turnpike without any barriers.
Every little bit we can do helps the situation. I think it would actually prevent a vehicle from going across.
As of now, the Turnpike Commission does not plan to add a barrier wall to the area, but drivers like Heather can't help but feel having one in this area may have helped save a life.
What can you do at that point when you have a semi coming directly at you? I mean, you can't turn, you can't stop, and I think a barrier would definitely help prevent an accident like that.
And the Ohio Turnpike released a statement saying their hearts go out to the families involved in the tragedy and that the Ohio State Highway Patrol's investigation may find more answers. Lee and Diane.
Well, despite that accident, the Ohio State Highway Patrol says this Memorial Day holiday was one of the safer ones on the road. The patrol says 12 people in all died on Ohio roads over the 4 days of the holiday. That is the lowest number in 4 years. 3 people who died weren't wearing seat belts. 2 deaths involved pedestrians, another OVI related, and 1 was not wearing a helmet.
Some striking nurses protesting Mercy Health did it elsewhere today. This was the scene outside Mercy College where a job fair was happening. Workers say their goal was to let applicants know that Mercy is a union shop. It's been just over 3 weeks now since some 2,000 nurses and support staff walked out of Mercy Health St. V's. 2 sides remain at an impasse, mainly over on-call hours. Well, tomorrow, the Toledo Walleye hosts Game 3 of the ECHL Kelly Cup Finals.
This caps off an exciting season for the Walleye and a profitable one for a local business. 13 ABC's Bill Horman says some of those Walleye t-shirts you'll wear to the game tomorrow were made right here in Toledo. Bill.
Diane, that's the way you support local businesses, just like local fans are supporting the local team on its championship run.
Got a man wide open.
You cannot beat the sound of the Walleyes scoring a goal, especially when they do it on their home ice. And game-winning goals lead to this sound. At Juke Mode, where the Walleye worked out a deal with a local business to make the t-shirts for the local team's championship run.
Just the time was right.
and we were ready for it. The Walleye were ready for it, and Toledo's ready for it. Those shirts end up here in the swamp shop, where more than 50 walleye items, including foam fingers and pucks to cool jerseys, are up for sale.
And conveniently enough, their 10th anniversary season, hosting the ECHL hockey All-Star game, and now we're in the Kelly Cup Finals. I mean, you couldn't write it any better.
It's really exciting for Toledo to have the hockey team play this deep into the baseball season, but it seems fans can split their local loyalties. So you're at the Mud Hens tonight, the Walleye tomorrow.
Yes, and Walleye Friday and Saturday.
But as for those T-shirts, right now Greg's just a looker.
Every time I go to a game and go in the shop, I see a bunch of sweet stuff, and I just have to tell myself, don't get it because you already have enough at home.
Except for that championship T-shirt, which right now
It's a shot, they score!
the Walleye are working on. The Walleye are down 2-0, but the puck drops on Game 3 tomorrow night here at the Huntington Center at 7:35. And yes, the game is sold out.
ULTIMO, Ultimo.
Correct.
Yay, local team taking on the National Spelling Bee in D.C. Bowling Green's Aaron Medjuritsky is headed into the next round.
Hi.
The 14-year-old tells us how he's coping with the pressure.
It kind of puts things into perspective for you. You understand that this is the national competition, that you're here to spell, and that the people behind you are also spelling here. I'll be happy with anything. There's no point in being mad at myself and kicking myself.
Good way to take him, staying calm, staying cool. And a cool fact about Aaron, he's a first-generation American. His parents are from Ukraine and Russia.
Our best to Aaron. He is one, as you said, cool customer. No question about it. I mean, incredibly well-spoken there, too. All right, back to the weather now. Here we go.
Yeah, let's check in with meteorologist Dan Smith with your 13-hour forecast. I'm guessing rain, maybe? I don't know, wild guess.
How about that?
R-A-I-N. There we go. There's my spelling for the spelling bees. Used to be my jam too. That was a great story. I love that. Now, not so great on the rain. Again, we are going to have more coming through overnight. Your 13-hour forecast suggesting we may well have some more all the way through the day. I'm thinking we see at least a few breaks in the action. In fact, Thursday ought to be the more washout day of the two, so to speak. And this has us only getting up to 70. I think we break out as a result, just out of the clouds enough that we are going to see some sunshine, but a detailed hour-by-hour look at predictor overnight and beyond coming up.
Basically, I was scared for my life.
13 minutes after 11, much more ahead. Attack on a Lyft driver, why this assailant was in such a big hurry.
Confessed mass killer in court and emotional, the fight for his life to be spared.
A wide-ranging impact of the abortion debate. Netflix joining in on the fight, possibly taking production elsewhere.
We are back in just 35 seconds.
Now, 13 ABC First Warning Weather with meteorologist Dan Smith.
Well, folks, nationally, this May has proven a record breaker for all the wrong reasons. We had over 500 reports of tornadoes in the last 30 days alone. Only 4 other times in U.S. recorded history we've seen that kind of span with that many reports. More added tonight. Kansas City got hit or very close to by a tornado. I know New York City was even under a tornado warning earlier this evening, and we're well over 1,000 reports to date. Now, what's more is National Weather Service office down in southern Ohio confirming 8 tornadoes, at least 8 tornadoes so far spawning from last night's event. Now, we've somewhat lucked out here in northwestern Ohio because we've gotten mostly rain. We did have the potential for hail up to golf ball size in a few of those cells earlier this afternoon, but we missed out on most of that tornadic activity. We do have this, of course, out towards the west and moving in right there between Angola and Fort Wayne. That's where we're seeing some development starting to cross the state line right now, but it's this bulk of the rainfall that does look to move in. It's not really likely to be severe once it gets here overnight. I'm thinking only in the next few hours, though. That's when we should see this activity start to arrive, adding yet more rain, piling on top of what we'd already had. I want to say at this point we're close to 4 to 5 inches above average for the year. 71 degrees for right now. It's pretty pleasant overall outside. 85 ended up being the high there. Those storms had a lot of heat energy to work with. 98 degrees was the high on Memorial Day. It happened to be falling on this day last year. Predictors showing all that rainfall, the bulk of it staying in northern sections, including very close to Lucas County as this moves on through, even suggesting a secondary band forming closer to daybreak and even a little bit after that. So just take care on the morning commute with any of these further showers and storms that might develop. Again, not really expecting much in the way of severe weather, but still 56 degrees. That severe threat gradually diminishing. It's pretty well out here. We had that severe storm watch until 8 o'clock, and even that was allowed to expire. 75 for tomorrow's high, so not as strong overall and also not as warm. A good 10-degree drop here and there, a 60% chance. And your first warning extended forecast, 70 and 70. Two different figures, two separate things for Thursday there. And then Friday finally starting to break into the sunshine. And it all comes back. Saturday, Sunday, it's very low chances there. I wouldn't say break out the lawnmowers just yet. You're going to want a couple days stretch maybe at this point to help dry it out just a little bit more. It's looking like so far, and that's days 6 and 7, subject to change. So far, the only 2 days we can string together are Monday and Tuesday.
Wow.
Take what we can get.
Exactly.
Yeah, man.
All right, Dan, thanks.
Well, he's accused of opening fire on former classmates and teachers, killing 17, injuring 17 others. Nicholas Cruz here, visibly upset in court today, covering his ears, putting his head down, when video played of him talking about plans to shoot up the Parkland, Florida high school. Cruz's defense team stating before he's ready to plead guilty in exchange for life in prison. Prosecutors have not yet ruled out seeking the death penalty.
Excuse me, man. If you're going to be disrespectful, I'll just pull over right now.
Ow, attacked while at the wheel. A passenger punched a New York Lyft driver several times. The suspect was reportedly sick and on his way to the hospital. Police say he got angry with the driver when the driver couldn't drive faster through traffic. The man then took off once the driver stops the car. Police still looking for that guy tonight.
Netflix now pledging to join the fight against Georgia's restrictive abortion law and abortion ban. Several producers and actors already refusing to work in that state. Netflix says it's not boycotting filming in Georgia just yet, but will rethink its position if the law goes into effect. That's slated to happen January 1st of next year.
All right, sports is coming away next. The Walleye explain the anticipation for Game 3, the PGA in Detroit, a return for Turner, and the Southview baseball team with a turnaround of their own. First, here are tonight's winning lottery numbers from your official lottery station, 13 ABC.
Now, 13 ABC Action Sports with BCSN. Here's Sports Director Justin Feldkamp.
Hi there, everyone. The Toledo Walleye bus pulled into the Huntington Center parking lot about 1 a.m. last night. A flight from Newfoundland to Toronto and then a bus ride the rest of the way. The team unloaded, got some sleep, and then had a practice at 11 a.m. Down 0-2. Game 3 of the ECHL Kelly Cup Finals is tomorrow.
They did what they were supposed to do. You're supposed to win on home ice, and it's not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be hard this time of year, so we have to make sure we do our job. So Game 3 is extremely important for us, and I think everyone understands that and knows that, and we're going to do our best here to make the series 2-1.
Coming home 0-2 in a series is never what you want. You want to split on the road, but we know our ability to be buzzing tomorrow night, so use that to our advantage and get on a roll here.
It's going to be awesome. We're really excited. You see it sold out already. It's been incredible all year. Playoffs is just amplified every round, and so we're really looking forward to it.
It's tournament time for high school baseball as well. Regionals this week, and Southview made it. They took down Start, St. Francis, and Perrysburg to win the district championship. Now they'll face Northern Lakes League rival Anthony Wayne Thursday.
Yeah, we played good baseball all year. We just haven't always put the runs together. And in the past couple weeks, I was checking, we were 7-3 in the last 10. So we've started to score some runs while continuing to play defense and pitch well as well.
How fun is it to still be practicing at this time of the year?
I mean, this is our first outdoor practice in probably a month right now, but it's great weather and just another week with these guys is amazing.
Every day is a new day, so we're gonna keep that win and enjoy it, but today's a new week. We got to start up and keep going.
All right, the PGA Tour is in Columbus this week for Jack Nicklaus's Memorial Tournament. A month from now, the tour will be in Detroit for the first time. Here's Joe Nugent.
It all came together very quickly here in the last year at the Detroit Golf Club, a course with great history. Expect a lot of birdies next month thanks to the setup in the field that includes Dustin Johnson, Ricky Fowler, and Xander Schauffele.
The mission the entire time was to bring the first PGA tournament event here to the city, and the PGA was great in working with us.
There will also be a game within the tournament, and it all surrounds Detroit's area code of 313. It'll start over here on the 14th, which is a par 5. The first player to eagle this hole with a 3, and then walk to the 15th right over here, which is a par 3, and ace this hole, which is about 150 yards, and then walk back this way to the 16th, which is a par 4, and birdie the hole with a 3, a 3-1-3, will make a few extra bucks, help out their favorite charity.
The first professional to score 3-1-3, to go eagle, ace, birdie, is going to trigger a $313,000 award. Half is going to go to a charity of their choice, and half is going to go to our tournament charities locally.
Also, part of today's event to promote the tournament, the Blades' Kyle Rowland won a closest to the pin competition. Thanks to Kyle, the tournament is donating $2,000 to the club's Caddy Scholarship Foundation.
All right, way to go, Kyle. College basketball now. Bowling Green's Justin Turner has withdrawn his name from the NBA draft, so he'll be back for his redshirt junior year after testing the waters to gain some knowledge about that process. Right after the break, we go to pro baseball. The Hens head into this triple play. Oh, this is horrible base running, but we'll show you how they still won the game.
That's a triple play.
In the big leagues tonight, the Tigers shut out the Orioles. Yes, indeed, 3-0. Matt Boyd was great on the mound. It was a rain delay in Boston, so they're still playing. Indians down 3-2 in the 8th to the Red Sox. AAA, the Mud Hens are in town the rest of this week, facing Gwinnett tonight. Tied 4-4 in the 8th. That's Willie Castro with the big blast, the go-ahead homer. 4 for 5 yesterday, 3 for 4 tonight. The Hens victorious, getting that victory 5-4. Remember, he was the guy who came over in the trade with the Indians that sent Leonis Martin from the Tigers to the Indians. So he's the number 7 prospect in one of the MLB pipeline rankings. So he's playing well. Only 22 years old, playing well in AAA.
All right, he won't be here long.
The Tigers need a lot of help up in the big leagues.
Justin, thank you. Back in just a minute. Final check of the weather. Dan Smith right after this. All right, Dan, back and still some activity on that radar out to the west here.
Yeah, it keeps redeveloping here. It seems like we just can't break out of this for much longer than we need to at this point. Doppler radar showing a lot of development out west right now. Most of that is not severe, and you have that little bit of a sliver coming across the state line between Angola and Fort Wayne, even a bit of development there close to Napoleon, and that is what we're a little bit concerned about, of course, because, hey, it's right here. It's pretty close. However, I am banking on non-severe storms. You could still hear a few rumbles of thunder, probably some spots of heavy rain overnight, and that trend is going to be continuing off and on for the next several days at least. Friday,
laugh in the face of heavy rain, by the way.
At this point, exactly.
All right, Dan, thanks. And we are looking ahead to the Walleyes coming back home tomorrow.
Yeah. That is correct. Game 3 tomorrow at the Huntington Center. Tomorrow at 6, we'll be live from downtown.
But first, be up to the minute. The minute you're up, 13 ABC Action News. Good morning. Starts at 4:30 a.m.
Jimmy Kimmel Live next. Good night, everyone.
Thank you for making 13 ABC Toledo's most watched news at 11.